Friends, in this video we are going to see how we can add or create cluster with the help of existing firewall. Even in last video we have seen how we have onboarded two different firewalls. Now we will use the same topology. So let's move and start application. We will log into the console first and then we'll start showing there. So I'm successfully logged in. You can see this is environment server. This is firewall A, firewall B, which is as of now working as a standalone firewall. And we will create a cluster and we will add these two firewalls so that they will be part of the same cluster. So let's start. First of all, go at the top. You can see the new start icon. Click there. You will see the cluster option. Click on the cluster. Click wizard mode. Here it's the cluster name. Put any name. Let me put B or 81 cluster and the cluster IP. This will we work, or this you can say this IP is a VIP IP. So 10.0.0.1, 10.0.2, we will create a VIP IP with the help of 10.0.0.3. You can see my topology. Here we have given 10.0.0.3 as a VIP, right? So let's put this IP there, 10.0.0.3, 10.0.0.3. Now you can see at the bottom, choose the cluster solution. Whether you want the cluster Excel solution as high availability or load sharing. There is one option Gaia VRP. You can click here Gaia. It's up to you which option you want. So we will, as of now, we will go with the cluster Excel and we'll select high availability. The difference between high availability load sharing, high availability in this type of cluster, only one node, the active node will entertain all the traffic and the secondary or other nodes will be in the standby mode and the load sharing will distribute the loads. So just go with the high availability as of now. Click next. In this page is asking the cluster member properties, means you need to add the gateway which is going to be for this cluster. You can see here this is the cluster name and now you need to define the cluster gateway IP. So click here add existing gateway. So the one option cluster numer or cluster add gateway. So the second option you can choose the existing way from this list. And by the first option you can define the new gateway which is not there in your dashboard. So as in our case we have already onboarded these firewalls, we will choose these firewalls as a part of cluster. So just go and click on add existing gateway, select this first, click OK. It will say if you add firewall cluster to the cluster it will convert it to a cluster member, and in that case some setting will be lost, but SIG VPN NAT will remain same. So it will not impact this settings. Yes. You can see the following products are all as cluster, but not a VPN power. This is VPN is not no issue. You can continue. Yes. The same way we will add second firewall. This is FWB. Just wait. You can see firewall is there now. Go and click add existing gateway. Select the secondary or other node. Click OK. The same warning message you can say. Click yes. Yes. It will take 1 minute or less than that. Now you can see both node is there and you can see parallel there is changes going on here also. Earlier you are able to see firewall individually or separately, but now it is under this cluster. You can see this is the cluster symbol where it says 1, 2 and they are interconnected with each other. Now when click on next. The next page configure the topology of the cluster. Now go click next. So here it is asking, because we have 3 interfaces, so it will ask for every interface and you will find the purpose of the interface. So this interface is going to be used as a sync interface, right? If you remember, so we will put as a sync interface. You can see cluster synchronization. You can click here. Next, this interface is not a cluster, right? So you can leave it as well, and you can, there is option private use of each member and private use of each member, but you can see the difference here. It says don't monitor and it is monitor members. If you go with don't monitor, in that case what will happen? If there is any issue with this interface, and suppose the interface of the primary or tip node goes down, will not do the failover, because that monitor is not under, that interface is not under monitoring. So it is always recommended to use the interface as a monitor member. Go and click next. Now you can see the third interface. It says this is in monitor. Click on next, and that's it. Synchronization, but it here you see it's zero cluster index. Sync there, but cluster index is not. So you can go back, and if you want to make any interface as part of cluster also, so go back. Say this here option, right? You can say you can make representing a cluster interface, and then you can put interface detail here 10003 and 255.255.255.0. Next. Now you see the difference. It says one cluster member interface and one synchronizer interface. The same way, we need to go, if you want the external interface representing a cluster, you can put here, and you can put the VIP IP dot 62 dot what is going to be VIP. You can check that is 103. So we will put as 103 and subnet mask 0. Go and click next. 10003 255.255.255.0 and next, and then click on finish. You can see here, if you go and click in this arrow, you will see this firewall IP, and this is VIP IP, right? And just publish the changes. After that, you need to go and security policies and do a firewall policy installation. And this time you will see the cluster node, not the individual firewall like we saw in our earlier videos. Click on install policy. Here you can see the difference. It says this is a cluster. It is not giving you the firewall name like we saw in our early videos, where you can see the here firewall 1, 2 like that, right? So go and click on install. Policy installation is going on. So after successful installation of the policy, this is successful. Go and check on details. You can see on the both node the policy is installed from here. But if you go and check, it says cluster Excel is not responding. Cluster Excel is not responding. So just go and quickly check. Double click on the cluster properties. This is the cluster, and go to the cluster Excel. It says cluster Excel. That's okay. So here it seems everything seems to be okay. Now you can see here there's one more option: active load sharing, high availability. So we have created a cluster node inside our dashboard. We have onboarded, or we have added 2 firewalls as a part of that cluster node. But as of now, we have not enabled the cluster feature itself on the firewall. How you can verify that? Just go to the firewall and see. If you put cphaprob state, it says HA module not started. The same way, go to the secondary firewall, just log in, put username password, cphaprob state. It says HA module. So to start the cluster, just run a command cpconfig, enter. You can see enable cluster membership for this gateway, right? Number 6. The first shows license, then SNMP, PKS, PKCS, random pools. This is for secure internal communication. So here we need to go with the option 6. Click on 6. It says you have selected to enable cluster membership for the security gateway. Are you sure? Yes. Now we need to reboot the firewall. So just go and reboot the firewall. Before and enter. Are you sure want to reboot? Yes. Press yes. Enter. So it will reboot. Parallelly go to the secondary node or second node. Run the same command cpconfig number 6. Yes. And reboot. So this will boot both the node. Let the node come up, then we will see the status. We have rebooted both nodes. It's still rebooting. You can see. And let's quickly jump to the dashboard, see the status. Any changes as of now? Connection, we can see lost. Earlier it was showing cluster Axel not responding. Now this is saying in this it's still in the reboot process, but this is rebooting. So once it will come up, you can see the status changes here. Parallelly, you can go to the command prompt of your machine and try to ping the cluster IP. You can see it says destination host unreachable, right? From your go and check the setting as well. You can see my IP of this machine. This is the default gateway. It's pointing towards my firewall. As of now, we haven't configured the cluster IP, but that will not make any difference as of now. So let's wait for this firewall to reboot and came up both the firewall. Then we will see. Let's check the status of the firewall. Go quickly to the console. You can see, okay, firewall A is up now. You can see firewall A is up. Let's log in and check the status of the cluster by running the same command cphaprob state. This time you can see the difference here. It says cluster board high availability active up, right? And the localist means you are on the firewall A, which is having IP 11111 as a sync unique address. Assigned load is 100% because this is in active standby mode. So my firewall A is in active, firewall B is in standby. Let's see the status of the firewall B. It's also up. Go and jump there. Admin, sorry, cphaprob state. In this, you can see the difference. On node A or firewall A, the local was here because I was on the firewall A, and that reports. And by this help of local symbol, you can see you can like on which firewall you are currently, and the secondary or firewall B is in a standby mode. You can see it is in standby mode. Jump to A. This is local active. Now go to the dashboard. See, firewall A is green now. Firewall B is still processing, and you can see the utilization because it's still processing. Now quickly jump to the network status. If you go and verify, I have given gateway still as 1. Now try to ping the VIP address, the cluster IP. This cluster IP is a VIP. Now check, try to ping 10.0.0.3. So you are getting response now. Earlier you are not getting response, but this time you are getting response. So actually any traffic which is towards 10.0.0.3, it will send the traffic to the active node and get a response from there. Currently the active node is firewall 1. So actually the response is from the firewall 1 but for you or for end user, they, they are getting response from 0.0.3, the VIP IP. Now you can see both the node is up, green, our cluster is working fine. Now if I go here and try to take web UI access, so if I go and try 10.0.0.3, see what happened. Because okay, the TLS setting, now try with 1, see, sorry, it says 1. This is because of the TLS setting. We need to change the TLS setting now, but this is no related with that. So that shows how you can configure the firewall cluster. Now you can, if you want, you can do again pulse pause, and we can also try to take the access with the help of SSH or putty on, try to do a putty on 0.0.3, and we will see where it is landing, whether it is landing to A or landing to B. So just let's start the putty session. So let's start, try to log in the putty. I have putty here. I will try to access the VIP address 10.0.0.3. Let's see 10.0.0. Okay, first try with 1. You can see it's not opening. You can see we got this network connection timeout error. Let's try with second node. Let's see what error message we are getting there. Close this session and just open 10.0.0.2. That will also not work. I hope you know the reason. If not, let me explain. Before that, just try 10.0.2. It will not work because if you remember what I said, once you enable the firewall, everything is by default dropped. Only access is allowed, which is based on this policy. And for our current policy, we can only do the ICMP. That's it. We cannot do, you can see for this, we cannot do any other things apart from ICMP. So just quickly add port to SSH port and the SSH port so that we can access our firewall, right? Because this is ICMP. Quickly go and add here SSH as well as your SSH. Click, and then we will also allow HTTPS so that we can browse this. So from any ICMP, SSH and HTTPS, publish, and then policy installation. Go ahead, click on install policy.